In the original Yokai Watch Blasters, Total Demon is considered to be the best special attacker in the game. This is because special attackers kind of suck in the normal game, but Total Demon, with his sheer power, is able to overcome that. However, he is still a underwhelming character compared to fighters like Shogunyan, just because physical DPS is a lot more valuable. Well, in the Plus Plus mod, Total Demon was buffed, and was given many things in order to alleviate these issues that normal spirit attackers have. While I don't think that he's the best spirit attacker anymore, there is certainly no other character that can dish out damage like Total Demon. So Total Demon is a fighter class S-rank yokai of the Mysterious tribe. He has a base HP stat of 382, a base strength stat of 204, a base spirit stat of 285, a defense stat of 124, and is of the normal speed tier. Fun fact, Total Demon and Arachneval have the same stats. Their strength and spirit stat is just swapped. Total Demon's skill is Demon Blood, giving him a 55% increase when his HP is down to 1, and as you will note, it does stack. This is pretty nice, because Total Demon has a really easy way to get into 1 HP. Now, this does make him one of the most dangerous characters to play, because any attack ever will do damage. The lowest attack that an enemy can do, or anything can do, is literally 1 damage, because you cannot do 0 unless you do, like, Ultra Force Field. And since you don't have Ultra Force Field open all the time, Total Demon is going to get hit at some point. So he's really only good for bosses that, like, don't summon anything, such as Robanyans. He's not good against them. However, Total Demon can overcome this in certain fights and get some of the most high numbers you could ever see, just flat out. His basic attack is Splash. This is one of the coolest things that the Plus Plus mod does. Many ranged attackers just had their X move that they would have to charge, and their basic attack was a basic little physical attack. Well, in the Plus Plus mod, many of them got a ranged basic attack that allows them to use their spirit stat more effectively. This helps Total Demon a lot. Not only does it allow him to have more DPS, but it also lets him deal with small fry without having to waste his giant big power move. His first learnable move is Waterfall, a 60 base power move with a 3-second cooldown and a 2.5-second charge time, and gives 12 soul meter. When charged, it has a base power of 200 and a cooldown of 2.5 seconds. It also gives 40 soul meter charge, making it much more useful. Waterfall is alright. It's a cool move, I guess. However, he has much better moves that don't require him to charge. His second learnable skill, which I probably should have gone over first, is Fiend Skill. This force lowers his HP down to 1 from whatever value it's at, and gives him a separate 40% attack boost for 20 seconds. Fiend Skill has a 25-second cooldown, meaning you can almost have a 100% uptime on your, buff. Which is pretty nice considering it's a 40% attack buff, and it's very noticeable. His third learnable move is Water Beam. Water Beam is a 200 base power water move that requires you to aim whenever you fire it, and it shoots a big geyser of water towards the enemy. It has a 7-second cooldown and gives 30 soul meter. This is a pretty good move. 7-second cooldown, 200 base power, that's pretty nice. However, since it requires aiming, and he has another move that I think is a little bit better, I don't run Water Beam. Water Beam's still a really good move, but just not something I would recommend. What I would recommend is Overheat. This is a fire 300 base power move with a 12-second cooldown and gives 50 soul meter. However, it has the downside of negating 20% of your spirit stat for 10 seconds. It's the weirdest way I've ever said a debuff. This is a really good move. The huge 300 base power is very high and almost ultimate level. It also doesn't require aiming, which makes it much easier to use in my opinion. And even though you do lose 20% of your spirit stat, it's only for 10 seconds, and that's half of the debuff that, Fiend Skill, it gives a 40% buff, and Overheat's only a 20% debuff, and it lasts for twice as long, so. When I did my all bosses solo runs, I used Total Demon against Hino's All Awoken, and he was able to one-shot veteran employees. I'm pretty sure it was with a crit, but considering the sort of setup you're going to want to be running with him anyway, it doesn't really matter. His ultimate move is Total Waterfall, an 8-hit attack with 50 base power for each hit that does water damage and it's pretty fine. Just something to have for invincibility frames and does pretty nice damage as well. Could certainly be a whole lot worse. For equipment, I'm running the Ultimate Beam. This gives a 50% chance to crit at max distance, and considering Total Demon doesn't really want to get hit, he's going to want to stay away anyways. There are other pieces of equipment that you can run. If you're able to get away with running, for example, a lot of whispers or crit support, then you can get away with running the Eye of Death. This is a 380 spirit stat buff with 75% more critical damage. However, considering that Total Demon has no way to increase his own crit chance outside of like a Tanbo Soul, unless you're running a bunch of whispers and stuff like that, I would just recommend the Ultimate Beam, just because the other equipment that I would recommend is the Zazzle's Boss Soul. This also is the same skill that Total Demon has, and as you remember, it does stack, meaning that you have a 110% damage increase for all of your attacks. Now, if you have, 3 Whispers for 60% crit support, you're probably going to get a higher average if you have the Eye of Death and then a Soul Terrier Soul. However, if you're not running that and you're just playing solo, this is the setup I would recommend. It's very simple, and it's very effective. For teammates, I have Hinozal and Hinozal Awoken. Their skill is pretty useful, giving an extra bit of attack support. However, it's not really what I need. It's not really why they're here. They're kind of just really good, and their Ultimate allows them to heal themselves. Because the biggest thing with Total Demon is that you can't really run healers if they're being played by the AI. That's because the healers will automatically heal you and then take away your Demon Blood skill. So, Total Demon is very difficult to play, especially considering not only can you not be healed, but your allies cannot heal each other. If they have self-healing methods, like Snee does, then you can get away with it, or for example, Hinozal and his Power Nap and Power Blink. They also just have really good setups like, God's Wave, Multi and Spirit Boost, Shocking Idea Blockbuster Beam. They're very good. And then finally, I have Styx Mark 6. This guy he's going to be the next video. He actually might be the best spirit attacker in the game, mainly because of his move, Troubled Waters. This is a 10-hit, 40 base power move. If you remember, that is like the same thing as Total Waterfall almost. Wait, yeah, they are the same base power. I can do math. They're the same base power. However, Troubled Waters lasts for a really long time, and it keeps the enemy stunned as long as they were, flinched before it happens. For example, Zap Trap, like Styx Mark 6 has, puts the enemy in a state where if they get hit with Troubled Waters, they will get stun locked until the move ends. This allows us to not only bring a move such as, the Plasma Launcher, which drops defense, which does actually buff Total Demon. The defense stat is taken into account in Blasters. I don't know about the other games, but in Blasters it is for damage calculations. But we can also just stop the enemy from attacking us, which allows Total Demon to not only do insane damage, but not have to worry about getting hit. With all of that said, I'd have bulky setups for these two, and I have a little crit support thing for the Whisper Soul on Hinozal Awoken, just because I don't really know what else to put on him. So with that said, let's see how good Total Demon can be when you play by yourself, I guess. So here we are fighting Golden Claws. Now you'll notice that I'm playing Styx Mark 6 right now, and that's just because I don't want him to waste his Troubled Waters, and I have to sit there and wait for it to come back. And we're going to start off and use Troubled Waters immediately, so that way I can get into Total Demon. He'll use his Fiend skill already, and then burn out for, what was that, 4,000 damage or something? So as you can see, we can just kind of sit back here, Fiend skill, and start doing some pretty insane damage. 719 on a crit, I think that's pretty good. Was that me doing the 4,000 on the base power of, the friggin' move? I think that's pretty insane. So basically, what we're doing is just existing. We can kill anything, really, that comes in our way. And we can just sort of force Golden Claws down into super low amounts of HP. And then Styx Mark 6 will be able to just shred through defense with his Plasma Launcher. And we'll be able to just do some pretty nice damage, considering that, the fight kind of just started, a minute ago. And here we are, with Total Waterfall, doing some pretty nice damage. Now, Claws is eventually going to start doing his ultimate. However, we can trap him into the Inferno, and then just kind of keep him there. Keep him, keep attacking him, and then here he is doing his Golden Dream. Now we're going to use the ultimate of both the Hinozals, I think. At least one of them. We're going to use it on one of them. We're going to make sure Total Demon stays alive, because he's the one I'm playing as. And we're going to want to, keep our plushes, because that's pretty important. Well, I failed here, but it doesn't really matter, because now the fight's done. I thought that we were done, and I just wasn't paying attention, but thankfully the old man is here to save Hinozal Awoken. We didn't really need him. Well, I mean, he's kind of useful because we still have his ultimate ready. Switch to him, except he doesn't have his ultimate, so I lied. But it doesn't really matter. Total Demon, thankfully the AI was able to not, kill itself, which was pretty useful. And Hinozal Awoken will, I think he's going to eventually revive normal Hinozal. That or we just kill the boss before Hinozal Awoken. Yeah, so as you can see, he's reviving his non-awoken self, which kind of, sounds about right. But eventually we're able to just keep doing attacks, and then we do... I think that was the Hinozal Awoken. He did God's Wave, like, as soon as he got done, before I could even control him. So yeah, there we go. Styx Mark 6 may have died, but, considering that I was by myself, and you're not really even supposed to do this fight by yourself, yeah, I'd say that that's pretty good. Especially since we had no healer as well. Pretty nice. Alright, now we have kind of a weird team, but let me explain. So we have two Gabbies here, which both have, the whole Gabby skill where they give you defense. And then we have Rubius J. Rubius J has the Vampiric Fangs on, which means that he can heal himself as he attacks. I just wanted to do something different than, Troubled Waters, one of those broken moves in the game. So basically, we've already killed the boss, because Total Demon just hits really friggin' hard. But now what we can do against Mass Mutterer, who honestly is not very good for Total Demon, just because he will run up and he will hit you, and that's going to suck. But thankfully, thankfully Mass Mutterer, thankfully, I keep saying thankfully, I'm stupid. But basically, we can stun lock Mass Mutterer with Total Demon, because basically, once he starts trying to summon Sam, we can just kill Sam instantly over and over again. So I'm just going to wait around until he decides he wants to start calling out Sam, which I probably shouldn't have done, because I start getting team wiped, like, instantly, but here's Sam, and there goes Sam. So we're just going to keep incinerating Sam over and over again, and then putting him in this really depressed state. Then, once his best friend, comes back from the dead, he's so thankful, he's so happy. We're just going to kill him again. I probably could have saved my Blaze there for the next Sam, but it doesn't really matter. We're just going to keep killing him over and over again. And get some Oni Orbs because it's pretty cool. But then as you can see, Sam just comes back. The camera sucks in this map. I hate it so much. That's another thing that makes this fight so hard. But as you can see, we can just annihilate Sam. And just keep hitting him over and over and over again. Like, he literally just can't do anything. He's going to try to go, Super Saiyan here. Or whatever he does, his prison break. And we're just going to burn Sam, and that's just going to be it. We're just going to keep doing this over and over again. I'm going to do it one more time, and then we'll hit him with our ultimate. And then, that'll just be it. So wait for it. Move out of the way from the bombs. Get the burn. Do a basic. Do a ultimate. And then there you go. That's Mass Mutterer done. Who's honestly pretty hard to kind of beat without healing, just because he keeps running up and he keeps killing you. Now, one of the Gabbies did faint and, ascend, but... you win some, you lose some. You gotta take your victory somewhere, Doesn't really matter if one Gabby's gone if we got the win. It's all that matters to me. So for the last fight, we have Cat Kraydel. Cat Kraydel is one of the easiest bosses in the game, if you have a dodge move. But if you don't have a dodge move, then it actually becomes a little bit difficult and a lot of RNG. So what we do is we wait until we are in a safe space in order to do our Fiend skill, because we don't want to do a Fiend skill and then immediately waste a Getaway Plush. So you just gotta be careful, and this also just shows that Arachneval is a lot better for this fight, purely because he can take care of those little eyes a lot quicker. Now, he can't do it as safely, however, if you can just kill the boss before the boss can kill you, I think that's a pretty safe strategy. So we're gonna keep making sure that we're in a safe space so that way we don't, die and get greedy, which actually does cost me both my Getaway Plushes later on. So we just make sure that, we take out the eyes before an attack comes, because it'd really suck for half of this duration where we can just keep hitting Cat Kraydel to be wasted when there's a huge tornado coming through, which would suck. But basically, we're just going to keep doing this. We can use Burnout just to make sure. It's not Burnout, it's Overheat. I think, at least. I keep calling it Burnout because I think that's a way cooler name than Overheat. I'm pretty sure Overheat is just a Pokemon move. So, I think Burnout is too. Where you lose your fire type. But Burnout is just really, it sounds awesome. So what we're going to do is just, rinse and repeat. We're going to keep taking out the eyes We're going to run around the entire way just to make sure that we don't get hit with the tornado. And then during Enlightenment, unlike Arachneval, we can actually take care of the eyes, but we don't get any crits. So, if you had Whispers around with you, it'd be pretty easy. So, it's kind of just it. Burn. Shut up, phone. What even is that? Weather. No duh. So anyways, yeah. The boss is like about halfway dead. Get a big 4100 on a crit on the burn, which that's pretty cool. Now that the tangled webs are here, it kind of gets a little more difficult to avoid things because we don't have a dodge move. So we have to make sure that we're not going to set ourselves up for failure. If there's a tornado around, we honestly would have died or lost a getaway plush if a tornado had come. So, you know, not too fair, not too fun. Like I said, we have to waste some of the time back here, and we can't use the Sultimate, but thankfully, because we're Total Demon, we can just use our ranged basic attack. There you go, it's pretty useful. So here, if I wasn't greedy and I just waited to kill the eye, I could have avoided taking that little bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter. So what we're going to do is just keep doing this, and then we're going to use the burn, kill that, and then we're just going to get back here, try to get some crits, realize that I'm not quite far enough, and then get a little bit farther, and now we start getting crits. As you can see, yeah, we go from like 670 to 470, so yeah. The debuff is pretty important on Cat Kraydel for, you know, massive damage. That's what the 4100 comes from. So as you can see, I get the burn on Cat Kraydel instead of the eye, but it's whatever. It's extra damage. Double it up on this, and as you can see, the tornado comes, and I can't avoid it. Nothing I could do about it. So I get a little bit careful here because, you know, if I don't, I have to waste another 3 minutes of my life fighting a Cat Kraydel. So, but we don't have to. We're just going to burn that. We're going to do some basic attacks. We're just going to run through, tank the slowdown, and then we're going to use our Sultimate, and then we're just going to kill. So yeah, Total Demon, not as good as Arachneval for this fight, but still, it's a really, really fun one. If you have, like, an Arachneval and a Total Demon, oh man, Kraydel's done for. It's going to be so much fun if you have multiple people doing that. Which I think I did, like, a long time ago when I Demon Team stuff. Pretty fun. So there you have it, Total Demon video. I think he's pretty fun. He's a very fun character to play ever since they changed his basic attack. And Overheat is a really good move. If you can like find other people that can like not die in one hit, he's a very fun character to play against certain bosses like Hino's All Awoken, but not characters like Captain Thunder. He's pretty fun. I really like him. Again, especially like even like Shogun King, he can be pretty good against anything that doesn't have a little sneak attack, like the Robanions. He's pretty good against. So yeah, like I said, Styx Mark 6 will be the next one, and I'm going to do it Wednesday because I was kind of banking on a Niji Sanji Score Attack 2 in Puni, but doesn't happen. So, and then next event is Friday, so that'll be that. But yeah, Styx Mark 6, he's really freaking good. I'll go ahead and tell you that much. Go ahead and try to get him so that way, when I do post the video, you'll have the character ready and you'll be able to do some pretty insane things in all honesty. So yeah. Like, subscribe, I hope, maybe, and, yeah, bye.